Hey everyone, Joshua Kirk here with you once again. Now it's time for episode 212 of Album of the Day, in which for today's album review I'm going to be talking about a Japanese-American singer-songwriter who is definitely one of indie rock's most kind of popular and most critically acclaimed sort of faces right now. Considering her strong talents as a lyricist and a vocalist, according to many critics. Next, of course, I'm talking about the singer-songwriter known as Mitski, which I'm here to review her fourth studio album, her latest album, released on August 17th of 2018. And the album is called Be the Cowboy, and as you can see, I own this on vinyl. This is an artist I've been sort of meaning to check out for a little while. Didn't get to check out her previous record, which was her breakout album from 2016, Puberty 2, but I did hear a lot of critics rave about it, and I saw it on numerous year-end lists for 2016, so I'd have to check it out. This is a great album. Easily one of my favorites of the year, probably my indie rock album of the year, right here. Really nice album cover. There's the back. There's 14 songs on this album. The album as a total clocks in at over 32 minutes, so pretty short record. And this is released on the label known as Dead Oceans, which is the label for kind of like the international label for Destroyer, but it's also the label for a variety of different critically acclaimed newish indie artists. And then there's a really nice gatefold, because you know me, I love me my gatefolds. Here's the vinyl sleeve, which has all the lyrics in it, and the liner notes, and stuff like that. And this is just standard black vinyl. There's side A, and then there's side B. It sounds really good on vinyl, too. I bought this back in September at Soundgarden, but I wasn't really able to listen to it for a while because, it was just so busy, because it's my senior year of high school and stuff like that. But I finally listened to this a couple of days ago, and, I think the vinyl actually takes the sound of this album to a whole new level. And considering how kind of lo-fi the album is, the vinyl actually makes it sound a little cleaner, which I really like. And there's this really cool, fold-out poster. Yeah, it's big and... Yeah, basically... Oh. Yeah, it's pretty giant, so... Excuse me. Yeah, it's basically just got, covers for all the singles that she released for this album. Which are the songs Geyser, Nobody, and Two Slow Dancers. So yeah, that's the vinyl packaging for Be the Cowboy, the new album from Mitski. So, like I said, this is pretty much my introduction listening to Mitski, though I've always been really curious about her because she seemed like a really cool, introspective, young indie talent. And I was definitely more than correct upon hearing Be the Cowboy. Because this is definitely one of my favorite records of the year. And it only gets better with every listen that I give this album. Which is pretty much uh, I would say is definitely a pretty amazing thing, considering I was really looking forward to this album because I love the teaser tracks leading up to it, including the opening track, Geyser, which has this really beautiful organ line, and over it is Mitski's very introspective alto croon singing very beautifully, "You're my number one, you're the one I want, and I've turned down every hand that has beckoned me to come." It's pretty simple kind of sentiment right there, but her vocal presence makes that line leave quite an emotional impact on the listener. But then the song eventually builds up, and you get these kind of rising strings that come in, and then it goes into this pretty incredible, fuzzy kind of gothic crescendo with fuzzy guitars and kind of cinematic percussion and some really killer sort of shrieking organ lines over that. It's a great track. It's just an amazing track, and definitely one of the best indie rock songs of the year, in my opinion. Definitely worthy as the first single of the record. Then the next track, Why Didn't You Stop Me? She Stopped Me certainly is a worthy sequel to that. And this song is a little more on the poppier side, but still, nonetheless, amazing with its incredible vocal performance, which is just so catchy. Why didn't you stop me? It's just incredible. And I really like that instrumental sort of bridge in there, where there's some really cool, melodic synth lines, and the kind of drony guitar really works well on top of that too. And I also really like the line about how she tries to look for a picture to keep in her pocket, but she can't seem to find one where he looks. So she's sort of saying, "Hey, look how I remember now." And then the song does have a pretty incredible kind of theatrical outro with kind of scuzzy horns, which sound really nice over the melodic guitar and synth stylings. It's really cool what she manages to do in a song that's just over 2 minutes and 21 seconds, because that little transition that it makes at the end, that's something that most artists would do in a song at like twice its length. A Pearl is certainly another one of the highlights of this album for me. Definitely another very unapologetically powerful piece of indie pop for sure. And I like how when she says something like, "Sorry, I don't want your touch," it's not that I don't want you. It's sort of showing that, she doesn't mean I don't want your touch in like a malicious way, or necessarily just kind of, she just kind of fell in love with the war, aka the kind of sort of rough emotions that she's dealing with. I mean, this is a record that really deals very head on with like growing up, and sort of how change is sort of what makes you who you are, even if it does sort of lead to kind of these moments of kind of losing your mind pretty much. And the song instrumentally is incredible. I mean, I really like that kind of I love the kind of theatrical presence that the song really shows in its instrumental. And of course, that mid-section with that really cool guitar solo and whizzing bassy synths is pretty awesome as well. Before it eventually closes out with a kind of melancholy outro featuring this kind of funeral-esque horn section. There's a horn section Remember My Name is another one of my favorite tracks on this record. I love how this song really shows her rowdy side as well. I mean, right off the bat, you know, your art blasting through your headphones. You get this bam 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 simple riff, but you know, with the way that it just kind of crashes in is just like it's that just kind of an instant kind of wow moment for sure. That wow moment, and then she comes in with a pretty amazing opening line. I gave too much of my heart tonight. Can you come to where I'm staying and make some extra love that I can save till tomorrow's show? And the song has like an incredible chorus which features a pretty emotionally compelling vocal performance from Mitski as she says, how many stars will I have to hang around me to call it heaven? And the song does feature some really cool other instrumental elements, including including a ripping sax solo, which has plenty of distortion on it to make it sound more like a guitar than a saxophone. The song Me and My Husband has this really cool sort of musical theater kind of quality to it, which reminds me of something maybe Foxygen would have done on their album Hang from last year. Except not quite as campy. But like, I really like this song for its kind of candy-coated organ solos, along with its kind of beefy horns. I mean, I really like that kind of distorted tuba that she slips into the mix underneath the kind of Fiona Apple-inspired kind of poppiness of the song. And I do really like how the song sort of takes a look at love, but like in a very smart sort of way. I mean, yes, it is a little cliched to sing through the mic. Me and my husband, we are doing better and we're sticking together. But she sings in a way that really gives the simple line plenty of wisdom to, not, let it just, be passed off as a throwaway filler moment. Though that is how I felt about the track at first, but it certainly has grown on me the more I've listened to it. So, and I also love that part where she breaks into her higher range with that line of, I bet all I have on that furrowed brow. Furrowed brow. And then the song Nobody, which is the second single on the record, it certainly is another one that had me really looking forward to the record, which this one is somewhat kind of funky, almost. I mean, the guitar riffs sound very much inspired by Nile Rodgers. Nile Rodgers a little bit. And also some really cool sort of... And also love the kind of like head bobbing synth and drums, synth melodies and drum patterns on the song too. And I really like its simple sentiment of sort of feeling lonely and kind of wanting to know that there's, other people around you. So she's sort of looking out the window to hear sounds of other people, because I actually heard that this song was actually written in a moment of loneliness for Mitski, because I kind of heard about it through, she talked about this song on Genius and stuff like that. And I also really like the line about her imagining Venus as being a planet that's all populated with some sort of alien race that's like destroyed by global warming. It's sort of asking, did its people want too much? And also I definitely can't help but grin when she says, I don't want your pity, I just need somebody near me. Guess I'm a coward, I just want to feel alright. That's definitely Mitski coming into her own lyrically right there. Like right there. And of course it's got a catchy little refrain. Nobody, nobody, nobody. And like even the line of where she says, give me one good movie kiss and I'll be alright, which may at first sound like just kind of some sort of, cliche, but it actually has plenty of, truth to it. And, she means it in a more kind of complex sort of way. It's definitely one of the standout cuts of the record, and it does sound kind of like cheery for most of it, though it does have a kind of melancholy finish where she's singing that nobody refrain on while playing the piano, but it's sounding as though it was like recorded using like some sort of sounds like it was recorded using some sort of like revolving sort of recording tube or something like that. Or something like that. The song Pink in the Night is also another one that I do really like, which is sort of this song about kind of like discovering love but yet feeling really kind of insecure about it. And stuff like that, because like she sings stuff like, I hear my heart breaking tonight, and I like how she says that her heart is kind of like a summer shower in this moment, with every drop singing, I love you, and also she's like fearless enough to say stuff like, I could stare at your back all day, and I know I kissed you once, but I didn't do right, so can I try again? And there's a really gorgeous instrumental which suits the emotion of the song really well. Well, with its kind of colorful, planative keyboards, but then the song eventually kind of builds up, and I love that part at the end where it's got these kind of epic sort of marching band-esque percussion, which fits well over the baritone guitar line and the keys really well. A more somber moment on the album comes in the form of a horse named Cold Air, which just has a few lines, but it's definitely enough to really sort of, give you that sort of, hey, you feel something, because her vocal performance is like so good. It's like hushed. It's a more hushed vocal performance, but sung beautifully over some kind of dreary, tense pianos. The song Washing Machine Heart is definitely another key track to the record. Not only does it have one of the most killer instrumentals on there, incredible boppy synth line, and also some really cool sort of percussion that actually sounds kind of like a washing machine beat with a drumstick or a mallet or something like that. It has a similar percussive effect to like the Matmos record, where they literally used a washing machine to make music and create this 38-minute long piece. 8-minute piece. And this song is definitely another one that's kind of like a kind of fearless moment on the record. She's sort of like talking about having a desire for sex and like making love with this person, and kind of sort of telling her, toss your dirty shoes in my washing machine heart, baby, bang it up inside. And I also really like the line of baby, though I've closed my eyes, I know who you pretend I am. It's definitely an incredible track. track, and the closing track on the record, Two Slow Dancers, is definitely a really nice kind of resolution for for the kind of album she creates, which sort of has a theatrical quality, actually similar to that of like Lord's most recent album. Recent album. And this song is definitely very gorgeous. It's got a kind of it opens up with a kind of melancholy Rhodes piano. Before Mitski sort of opens up with the line, "Does it smell like a school gymnasium in here?" As she sort of reveals kind of the setting of the song. And she really does like sound very relatable when she sings. It would be 100 times easier if we were young again, but yet they're just two slow dancers. Last one's out. It's definitely a really nice sort of moment that kind of reflects on kind of youth and how our youth is kind of fading as we grow up, but still there's plenty to be kind of grateful for. And I love when the song builds up, like when the instrumental builds up, so does her vocal performance. Which sounds very dramatic as she sings. You can see the ground is pulling us back down. You can see it on both our skin. Definitely a worthy finish for the album. I also do want to highlight that the album is intertwined really nicely with some shorter tracks, which definitely make this album sort of feel like a Broadway soundtrack a little bit. Like, you have songs like Old Friend, which is this gorgeous little ballad. It's a gorgeous little ballad where she's sort of going through a phase where she realizes her significant other has kind of found someone else, and they're kind of and they've kind of drowned for such a silly thing, and she's sort of telling him, I'll go to a Blue Diner and I'll take anything you want to give me, and even if it means drinking coffee and talking about nothing. Nothing. The song "Lonesome Love" definitely is another standout from one of the shorter tracks on here too. Which is kind of like this kind of which is a little more folky. A little more folky, and one of my favorite lines on this song that really does show Mitski's original lyrical talent is the line of "spending an hour on my makeup to prove something." And she's sort of asking herself, why am I lonely for lonesome love? Love, and it's definitely pretty short, but still definitely manages to leave an impact, and it still feels like the shorter tracks on this album even still feel like complete kind of fleshed out songs. Come Into the Water, probably my least favorite of those kind of tracks, and probably the whole record overall. It's definitely a good song, but doesn't quite leave as much of an impact or an impression as much of the cuts here do. The song "Blue Light," I will say, however, is a pretty worthy sequel for Washing Machine Heart, and the structure of the song is also really interesting. It starts out kind of loud and unapologetic at the beginning with some pretty rad cowbell, but then it eventually kind of calms down after a while, and and Mitski comes through with this really cool melancholy kind of performance, which works really well over some kind of psychedelic keys. And some psychedelic keys and the echo effects that they put on her voice actually really worked too. Yeah, overall, definitely a pretty amazing record, and I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about it. Whole lot of complaints about it. I mean, I definitely really liked it the first time I heard it, but it definitely has progressively grown on me the more I've listened to it. To the point where I think this album is going to make its way into the top 10, because this is definitely one of my most memorable music discoveries of 2018. Definitely check this album out. Check this album out. It's definitely one that does a pretty good job of living up to the hype, because I find there are other kind of newish indie albums out there that do happen to get a lot of critical acclaim but don't necessarily live up to their hype, but this one really does, so highly recommend this. So that's my review of Be the Cowboy, the new album from Mitski, and I'll see you for episode 213.